Welcome, folks. I'm Jaby Koay, joined by Achara Kirk.
Hi.
We're looking at Loki, final scene, new Kang timeline explained. From New Rockstars. Thank you, New Rockstars, for allowing us to react to this. Very, very much appreciated. Y'all are so dope, and I have learned so much through your channel. You guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to New Rockstars. There's a link in the description below to the video that we're about to look at. If you want to click on that, give the original video an upvote, give them a subscribe, and give this video an upvote if you could be so kind. That would mean a lot. Okay, here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and the Loki episode 6 finale leaves us in an altered TVA ruled over by Jonathan Majors as he who remains a variant of Kang the Conqueror. But unlike the goofball He Who Remains variant, this statue is Kang the Conqueror, the cold-hearted time master villain of the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. One of those more evil variants He Who Remains warned us about. Maybe even the one he referred to as a jerk, which I assume is what Scott Lang is gonna call Kang in Quantumania. Coming home to a warped reality? I thought Back to the Future was a bunch of bullshit, you jerk. But what exactly is going on in this final shot? Like, what version of the TVA does Loki now find himself in? And how did it get that way? Well, the TVA Timekeeper statues being swapped out for this Kang statue does kind of parallel the ending of Planet of the Apes, the classic 1968
wow, what a reference.
ending with the Statue of Liberty, but even more similarly, the 2001 Tim Burton remake that ended with the altered Lincoln Memorial. He Who Remains even does kind of sit the way Lincoln does in the statue. And based on that, you could infer that the TVA that Sylvie pushes Loki back into was warped or rewritten due to Sylvie killing He Who Remains and allowing the sacred timeline to fracture, which he warned would allow worse variants to replace him and take the TVA in an even more fascist direction. But without the cover story of a holy trinity of timekeepers, just like how Marty McFly returned in 1985 with his timeline rewritten with his dad, a successful novelist, and Biff, his slave. But I'm not so sure, because the MCU established Back to the Future logic as, quote, a bunch of bullshit in Endgame, and Loki as a series has doubled down on the MCU timeline logic of changes to the past cause branch realities to split off from the sacred timeline, but leaving that original history unaffected, which is how we get a multiverse. Now sure, we couldn't always trust everything in Miss Minute's welcome video, but He Who Remains confirmed that there was a past multiversal war and that the MCU timeline has really just been enjoying a period of relative peace with occasional Nexus events creating loose variants that He Who Remains via the TVA has tried to prune. So when Sylvie pushed Loki through the time door back into the TVA, Loki entered a different reality. Not the TVA that he spent the past several episodes in, but a TVA of a different timeline. One where Mobius has no idea who Loki is, one where he and B-15 know their boss is Kang, where Casey, according to the credits, is a hunter, and not necessarily a TVA that Kang has invaded or conquered, but one that has always been that way.
Okay. Is this a completely different TVA than the one we spent the entire show with? As in, this is an alternate dimension of Mobius and B-15 and all that. That's the implication here.
I think that is what Mr. Eric Voss is saying, which is different to what he was saying in the other video. That's exactly what I was about to say, because in the other video, it sounded like it just got like reset. I know, and he made a very good argument for that too, because my initial thought was this, which is that this is a reality that, like, you know, as soon as He Who Remains got killed, right, then all the other things branched off, all the other timelines, and so it is entirely possible that this exists in a completely different timeline in its own reality. That's what I thought. That's what we thought, right? Yeah. And then so many people in our live stream were all like, no, it's just everything's been reset. And that's what Eric Voss said, I believe, in the last video we watched, which was the breakdown for the final episode. And then now he's going, oh, no, wait. Maybe. Well, I guess it's just a different reality.
It's all speculation until the next season or the next film comes out that really puts everything into perspective.
Right.
That Kang has invaded or conquered, but one that has always been that way from its beginning. Notice how He Who Remains' sacred timeline already began to fragment even before Sylvie killed him. That would imply its splitting into a multiverse was already in the cards.
Yes.
And since the timeline is arranged in a ring, it would suggest time flows in a flat circle in which all events are predetermined, including the eventuality that the timeline would unravel into branches that contain their own variant Kangs.
Just so you know, there's this notion in science, I can't properly articulate this, so forgive me, but you know how we look at Earth as a sphere?
It's a sphere, yeah.
There is a notion that the universe, or like the known universe or whatever, is sort of the same thing, but a donut. It's like a big
Okay,
There's different theories that are postulated.
I like donuts.
Yeah, there's one that it's like a donut. It's like if you kept going, you'd eventually come back to the same spot. If you could live forever and you could travel at like the speed of light, eventually you'd come back to the same spot.
Okay.
Kind of like on Earth, you'd eventually come back to the same spot.
If you just walked straight.
Yeah, if you just walked in a straight line. It being this circular thing is kind of cool because it sort of ties into broader concepts in science that I've heard about.
One of those branches would contain the TVA that Loki ended up in with its tyrant-flavored Kang. But the confusion comes from our assumption that the TVA, the Void, the End of Time were all neutral ground, just constants existing separate from the sacred timeline or any of its branches. So how could this new TVA exist within a variable timeline? Well, it could just be only the Citadel at the End of Time. That floating rock ring is the only neutral ground left in all the multiverse. Meanwhile, every TVA is linked to a specific universe. But there is another way of interpreting this that might answer the question, because look back again at the episode 6 opening shot. We zoom out from our solar system, our galaxy, our whole known universe. Then it's revealed all of that is contained within a black hole, which neighbors another black hole that the camera now pivots and dives into. And that is where we get He Who Remains and the Citadel and his sacred timeline ring. And by
just so you know, it'd be completely preposterous that they'd be that close to each other. There's no way. There's just no way.
Okay.
They would swallow each other whole, and they'd combine into a single entity if they were that close to each other.
Sure.
And that is where we get He Who Remains and the Citadel and his sacred timeline ring. And by this logic, perhaps all the voices and moments we heard from the MCU past took place in a separate universe than the one that we spent this final episode in. And this could mean that there is a TVA for each universe, as well as infinite Citadels,
That's what I've been saying! Everyone's like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, that doesn't make any sense. There's only one TVA. Everyone's coming at me so hard. Like, you're stupid. You don't understand.
Could mean that there is a TVA for each universe, as well as infinite Citadels, infinite sacred timeline rings.
I believe you.
Interestingly, the only MCU voices we hear on the way down this second black hole are classic Loki, Sylvie,
Open your eyes!
and Vision from WandaVision.
What is grief if not love persevering? But what is grief if not love persevering?
A line suggested to take place in the main MCU before Civil War, but heard during Agatha and Wanda's memory trip in the Westview Hex in WandaVision, suggesting Hex reality elements like Billy and Tommy could exist in this universe, which should be why Wanda now hears their voices upon the incursion.
Right.
But before we continue, thanks to video sponsor Petal and their Petal 2 card.
This is kind of breaking my brain a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to just like keep up with it all. I know that it's probably like a lot simpler than I'm making it. I overcomplicate things in my head.
Yeah, no, it's just basically like...
I think everything with WandaVision is what sort of throws me off a little bit sometimes, because it's like, oh, her kids might exist in another thing. It's like, okay, what does it mean? What are the implications? Where's,
Yeah, I can't tell you what the implications are, but the idea that they exist in an alternate universe, it totally makes sense to me.
But I think one big clue we need to go back and look at are those ring stains on Renslayer's table.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Which are also... kind of like the galaxies or the universes or whatever, you know what I'm saying.
Again in the finale, recalling when she and Mobius talked about them back in episode 2.
Those rings are already there.
They're stacked.
And they're all from you.
You notice that? How they're stacked?
Oh, yeah.
What did that mean? Well, in the finale, Renslayer goes from one scene knowing nothing about He Who Remains to a later scene suddenly disturbed by whatever mystery file Miss Minutes gave her, but still oddly protective of the TVA's mission. And she goes through a time door to, as she says, search for free will. The information Renslayer received might have revealed to her that this TVA was not her
Doesn't
first
Miss Minutes
TVA.
look evil?
Similar to how in the Matrix Reloaded Architect scene that this Loki episode seems to parallel, Neo learns that this was actually the sixth iteration of the Matrix. And here, now that these anomaly Lokis found a glitch in the system by falling in love and creating an unprecedented Nexus event, Renslayer's next step could be to seek out another TVA and restart the cycle. Those rings on the table could be the way the system keeps track of what number TVA they're on. 2 currently, just like we ended a second black hole from the main MCU to get here.
There we
and then the
go.
Sacred Timeline ring could be the second ring, a ring that has now been broken, so they must start again.
Interesting. That's an interesting theory. I don't know that adds up, but it's a very, very interesting theory. In the movie The Sixth Day with Arnold Schwarzenegger, he got cloned, and every single clone had a marking on his inner eyelid. It was like a dot, like 3 pimples. That meant he was like the 3rd clone or something like that. So it's very, very interesting.
And in this interpretation, the sacred timeline ring might not be a rope unraveling, branching out into several different timelines, but really a sturdy ring breaking apart and crumbling, as a separate timeline ring representing another universe also unravels and tangles with it.
Hold on, what? Okay, hold on. That hurt my head a little bit. Did you understand that? I am into these concepts and I got confused.
The rings are unraveling.
He's saying it's not.
And well, they're breaking apart. They're fragmenting, right? And then another ring is doing the same, and they're kind of becoming enmeshed in each other, like they're overlapping now. I believe.
Like 2 galaxies merging into one.
Sure.
Let me watch it again.
Sacred timeline ring might not be a rope unraveling, branching out into several different timelines, but really a sturdy ring breaking apart and crumbling, as a separate timeline ring representing another universe also unravels and tangles with it.
Okay.
Entanglement that now has caused Loki to arrive in a TVA ruled openly by Kang the Conqueror. I know. Huh? This whole multiple rings interpretation is a lot, especially since one fragmenting sacred timeline ring is chaotic enough to wrap your head around, and now I'm suggesting it could be chaos squared or chaos cubed. And perhaps that black hole Devil's Anus to Devil's Anus visual might have just represented a way to cosmically and spatially traverse single branch strands within the one sacred timeline stream ring. That would be a simpler way to look at it. Kinda simpler.
I don't know.
But whether the multiverse takes the form of intersecting capillary branches that Sylvie saw after killing He Who Remains, a rope unraveling into different strands, or whether these are cracks in the dam as another ring lamentases into us, the conclusion is the same. If Kang could have already existed in one of these other branches, so could any of the alternate universe Marvel heroes that Kang might have faced in that alternate reality. We're talking alternate Avengers, recasts of characters we knew, the Fantastic Four, X-Men, other Spider People, all answers that might be coming sooner than we thought, folks. And What If, and No Way Home, and Multiverse of Madness. Comment down below with your theories, and reminder, you can get our Loki-inspired merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com.
That's exciting.
Yes, it is, and it kind of blew my mind a little bit. The ring thing, the way he was talking about it, I was like, wait, I thought it was a completely different thing than he said. And then when he said it again, when I watched it again, I'm like, okay, I think I get it a little bit better now. I think that my brain is just overthinking all of this.
Yeah, I try not to. It's like when I watched, what is it? The latest Christopher Nolan film?
Tenet,
yeah. Just go with it.
I have a hard time.
Don't think about it too hard.
I have a hard time just going with things because I want to really comprehend the concepts being, thrown at me.
Sometimes you can understand by feeling. I don't know. Am I being too woo woo?
No, you're fine.
But I feel like if I try and break it down and think about it too hard, I start going, ah. But if I'm just like, okay, I'm feeling it out. Yes, I get this idea of like there's multiple universes, and in each universe you can have different variants, different variations of everyone.
I just wish that for the visual, I know that the image of a black hole being surrounded by matter and stardust and all that stuff, looking like a galaxy. I know that visually is more interesting and easier to provide to the audience. Because that's a very familiar image.
It's visual.
Yes. If they were trying to be remotely accurate, what they would have done is had bubbles instead. Because they're supposed to be different universes. And what's happening is the camera's coming out of a black hole into another black hole. And obviously, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an astrophysicist or anything like that, but my understanding of black holes, which is very limited, I'll say it again, an inescapable hole which nothing can get in or out of, or just nothing can get out of, right?
Right.
And it's just data, basically. It's just a bunch of random matter that eventually, for some stupid reason, not stupid, but some reason, it'll just pop out outside of the universe, outside of the galaxy at some point.
What?
Outside of the black hole. The data, the matter that gets sucked into it, it all gets spaghettified and mushed into one, and then at some point, it just shows up outside of it.
It's like an intergalactic poop?
Yes, it's exactly what it is, an intergalactic poop. For it to exist within the black hole, obviously, it's entirely possible that something's in a black hole that is like that, right? A whole universe within a black hole. It's possible. I'm not saying it's not. What I'm saying is, what scientists, the leading theory right now, is that different universes are just bubbles floating around in the greater space. Like the multiverse, it's all just a bunch of bubbles.
So we're in a bubble.
Our universe is inside of a bubble, yeah.
Okay.
And so if they wanted to be like scientifically closer to what scientists have agreed on.
Yeah, but we want to see what we know.
Right, and so showing it as a galaxy is visually easier to compute.
Yeah.
That's all I'm getting at.
To comprehend.
Right.
Yeah.
But I like this video. I thought it was very informative. I mean, it kind of it made it worse. Because when he explained it in the other one, I'm like, all right, I guess that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, I guess it just, reset.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We believe you. We will abandon this idea we had of it being in a different universe. And now he's like, no. Actually, you guys, Jaby and Achara, you were right. Like, what? No, but we already gave that up, though.
Yeah.
Like, why are you...
Yeah. So, yeah, that's exactly what I was putting forth the other day in the live stream, which is each universe can have its own TVA.
Yeah.
Or even a set of universes can have a TVA.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It's like you can assign TVA a certain amount, just like we have, I don't know, in politics, you have a certain...
Every state has their own DMV.
Okay. All right. That's a way to put it. I'm just saying you have certain senators and whatever who control a certain amount of the population or whatever.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So anyway, that was fun. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And let us know your theories, ideas, feelings in the comments below, and reactions if your head was like split in two over this. So I'm Jaby Koay. This is
Achara Kirk.
Peace out.